once it goes through, yep, there you go. You're all set. You could exit out of that, Joanne, if you're still in it.
Oh, I don't have to stay in it?
No, just hit the X on it.
Okay.
Okay, so you are recording and we're live on YouTube. So you're good, Arnie.
Okay, in that case, let's get rolling. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the February 3rd, 2021 meeting of the Danbury Planning Commission. We will open with the roll call. Mr. Urice.
Here.
Ms. Hostetter.
Here.
Mr. Chiocchio.
Here.
Mr. Sylvain.
Here.
And Chairman Finaldi is here. So we have full attendance. We do not need to seat any alternates this evening. Joel, you're sounding a little muffled, just so you know. Your voice isn't coming through real clear. I don't know if there's anything you can do about that. Is it just me, or is everybody hear Joel a little warbly?
It's a little garbled.
Well,
Okay.
I get speakers all the way up. I moved it a little closer. Does that help?
Yes, it did. It did. Thank you, Joel. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, previously distributed were the minutes of the January 20th, 2021 meeting. Unless there's any comments or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I did view the videos for the parts that I missed, so I can vote.
Okay, great.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Motion. Go ahead.
So Helen and Bob?
Okay,
Helen and
motion.
Perry.
Helen and
Good.
Helen and
Perry.
Terry. Okay. I wasn't looking. I'm sorry. I didn't see Perry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. A motion has been made and seconded to accept the minutes of January 20, 2021. Are there any comments? Hearing none, I will take a roll call vote. Mr. Urice,
Yes.
Ms. Hostetter,
Yes.
Mr. Chiocchio,
Yes.
Mr. Sylvain,
Yes.
and Chairman Finaldi votes yes. The minutes of the January 20th meeting are accepted. Before we move on, let me do my brief intro to the virtual meetings. I think we still have to do this, so let's get it on the record. Again, this meeting of the Danbury Planning Commission is being held on Zoom as a virtual meeting. Even though this meeting is a virtual meeting, members of the public and interested parties continue to have the opportunity to participate in the meeting in a couple of different ways. You can participate via Zoom and see the audio and video, or you can call in by phone and participate via audio only. Just a heads up, if you call in, we may have to mute you and unmute your phone to avoid an echo. Instructions on how to participate in the meeting appear on the City of Danbury website, and all of the documents and materials that apply to the matters to be discussed during this meeting, including the agenda, are also available on the City of Danbury website. As always, if you have any questions, please contact the City of Danbury Planning and Zoning Department. As a reminder, the entire meeting will be posted on and can be seen on the City of Danbury website. We will follow the posted agenda as per standard practice. If prior to the meeting any questions or comments on agenda items were submitted via email to Sharon Calitro, those comments will be read during the appropriate portion of the meeting. Two final things: all votes will be conducted via a roll call vote. And please remember, technological glitches do sometimes occur. If that happens, please be patient. Okay, we'll move back to our agenda. Please note your calendars. Our next meeting is scheduled for February 17th, 2021. Commission members, you'll note that we have no new public hearings this evening, and both of the public hearings that were continued until this evening have also been postponed. There will be no testimony taken or discussion on either of those applications tonight. Sharon, do I need a motion to continue both of these?
Well, they were continued till, I would just take a motion, just so that we don't have any issues with anyone.
All right, then I'll just read them like I always do, and then I'll ask for a motion to continue, commission members, just to keep the record straight and to do things the way we always have done it. So item 1 under our continuation of public hearings agenda was JAR Associates LLC, D&B Wellness LLC, application for special exception revised site plan approval for a medical marijuana dispensing facility in the CA80 zone, 105 Mill Plain Road, C14063, special exception 779. As indicated on the agenda, this hearing is continued until our meeting on 2/17/21. I'd like to get a motion to continue this hearing.
So moved.
Second,
Motion has been made and seconded to continue this hearing. Is there any discussion? Again, I will take a roll call vote. A yes is to continue and no is not to continue. Mr. Urice,
Yes.
Ms. Hofstadter,
Yes.
Mr. Kyokyo,
yes.
Mr. Sylvain,
Yes.
and Chairman Finaldi votes yes. The matter of JAR Associates has been continued. Item 2, Newtown Road LLC, Maria and Manuel Neves Govea Marquez and Antonio Mendez Govea Marquez. Application for special exception site plan approval for child daycare center in the CG20 RA8 zone, 36 Newtown Road and 4042 Newtown Road, Whitney Avenue. Let's see here, hold on. I'll skip the reading of the map numbers for now. As we discussed, for the reasons we discussed, I will entertain a motion to continue this public hearing.
So moved.
Second,
Motion made and seconded to continue this public hearing until our next meeting, which is on February 17th, 2021. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will take a vote. A yes vote is to continue, and no vote is to not continue. Mr. Urice.
Yes.
Ms. Hofstadter.
Yes.
Mr. Kyokyo.
yes.
I called my own name. Mr. Sylvain.
Yes.
And Chairman Finaldi votes yes. This matter will be continued until February 17th, 2021. Okay, that leaves us and our other matters portion of our agenda. We've distributed the capital improvement plan for 21-22, and Sharon is going to walk us through that. Sharon, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, yeah, it's unbelievable, but here we are, preparing the capital improvement program for FY 21-22 through FY 26-27. So it's presented in a format that you're used to seeing. There's a 6-year program. There's a 1-year capital budget, and then there's a separate tab or separate PDF, which I sent to you, which was the balance of the projects that weren't funded in this year. So I'm going to focus on the capital budget for the upcoming year, and then we can, talk about the 6-year. The 6-year plan again has all the rest of the projects on, has all the projects on it. But what we do is spend the time talking about the 1-year capital budget. We've organized it again by department. There's a project to rehabilitate the airport taxiway C, which is I think 97 point something %, funded through a grant. The balance we would have to fund, and that's out of our general fund capital, which is like our pay-go kind of. That's kind of the slang for the general fund capital. Construction services, we funded. We're proposing or recommending to you to fund again some citywide minor bridge repair and maintenance, general city sidewalk repair, and playscape replacement in the parks and the schools. We've also listed in this capital budget projects that would be funded out of the SNAP bond, which was authorized last year. We're showing it in this year, but it has previously been authorized. And then there's a new project for the initiation of a project, which it includes the investigation and repair of a retaining wall at the Magnet School. In terms of emergency management, there's a project to renovate the Emergency Operations Center offices. As you know, we have a new emergency management director, and he's doing a lot of work coordinating everything from the pandemic to kind of our regular emergency management things. So there needs to be some changes to that office. And we've also included under emergency management, we've coordinated with all the departments that have submitted in the past for generators, emergency generators. We're trying to get a handle as a city what our emergency generator needs are. And you might recall in the past, there might be one under highway or one under the schools or one under the water utilities. We've all kind of gotten together through Matt Casavecchia and said, we need a program and we need to know what everybody's needs are just on this one thing. And it's really no different kind of than the school roof program and many of the other programs that we've initiated over the last few years to try to kind of get a centralized place for it. So I've highlighted the ones that are prioritized on the internal list of where that money would be spent for IT and of the Board of Education building. But again, we have a giant spreadsheet of everything that's needed. In terms of the engineering department, there's some proposed funding. Again, several of those projects were funded out of the SNAP bond. And then there's some additional money for MS4 permit compliance requirements. The fire department, again, we're proposing a tool replacement program, which we've continued to do. They need apparatus replacement and fire rescue vehicles, turnout gear, self-breathing apparatus equipment, and the compressor replacement as well. So those are the compressors that fill the breathing apparatus. So they kind of go hand in hand. Forestry, we're proposing, and actually this year it was a LoCIP, it was an eligible project under CIP. I remember Joel asking that question. They actually added that, and it might just be a result of kind of Mother Nature, but LoCIP, the LoCIP regulations for the state of Connecticut have now included projects for tree trimming in the right of way. And again, I think that's a function of them realizing like, wow, on the roadways, trees, you could have a problem. So that's actually a new thing that LoCIP added this year. In terms of highway, we combine again, this is on the same thought train, basically combining highway equipment, equipment maintenance, forestry equipment. They're really all purchased and managed out of the highway department. And Tim Nolan is responsible for them. So instead of listing highway equipment and then under equipment maintenance and or forestry, listing forestry equipment, it's all public works, public service division equipment. So we combine them into one and we're tracking it that way. So there's an allocation for that. There are drainage, paving and road improvements. Some of that's coming out of the SNAP bond. You may or may not recall, there's about $9 million out of that bond for road paving. Tim used a whole lot of it last year with some other paving money. So the balance of what was left, they're anticipating using next year. So that's shown in the column under the existing SNAP bond. And then there's other allocations under our regular notes and some LoCIP funds. Also on highway, pool fleet vehicle, which is the city's cars and trucks. And then a contribution again to the downtown street light replacement program because the lights are expensive. And then when they get hit, we need to have enough money to replace them. The IT projects are varied, but they keep us all running and are really important to how the city, especially as we know over the last year. So there's a multitude of projects there proposed to be funded. There's also a reval, some money for a camera system because we're coming up on reval in a couple of years. In park maintenance, we had an allocation for Rogers Park lighting. They did some of it, but we want to keep contributing money so that that fund is built up so that they can continue to do that work. Police vehicle replacement, communication system replacement program, the incident response equipment, tasers and body cameras projects. And then in public buildings, we like to obviously contribute, propose to fund, I should say, the HVAC replacement program. Again, they keep a list of the HVAC systems that are in need of replacement. So instead of being very specific on what this goes to this building or that building, there's the allocation of funding, and then they take care of whatever system based on their priorities that they keep internally. So there's an allocation to that. The PB roof, again, this is public buildings roof replacement program. And then there's a public buildings building improvement program. And then in the schools, we have proposed some underground storage replacement, which is the balance. There is some funding left, but that the 482,000 is the balance needed to do the rest of the storage tanks and apply for the reimbursement through the state program. There's elevator upgrade at various schools. There's the school roof replacement program, which actually King Street needs to be done. So I've just highlighted that so we all know. And then I've listed some of the school projects that came out again out of the SNAP bond, which was the elevator upgrades at DHS Broadview and Rogers Park. And then there's proposed funding for, and again, the Danbury Career Academy, which is part of the school district classroom space initiative portion of the SNAP bond. So, you know, they're looking at the Danbury Career Academy now, which is what people have been talking about up at the summit. So there's some money would go to that from the existing SNAP bond, but also that would require a new bond. So the new bond column that you saw would have to be authorized by referendum, and that has not yet occurred, obviously. And then there's the Ellsworth Avenue School improvements, which is funded under the SNAP. That was part of the 23.3. I think that was the total number. And then DHS needs some building renovations to be taken care of in terms of their accreditation. And then there's an early childhood center. So that 11 million and 17 million would have to be in some new bond in order to do that. In terms of recreation, as we know, especially in the last year, the quality of life kind of projects that are important, the Candlewood Town Park boat ramp and the lightning detection system, which would be covered under LoCIP now as well. And then there's an allocation for a project at the landfill. And then the city leases, some of them we are committed to, obviously, and then new pumpers for the fire department was kind of the way we need to fund those. You just can't go out and buy $1 million pumper, so we lease them. And then there's again an existing lease for the school boiler replacement, which is what kind of we owe on that lease for next year. The ambulance fund last year we did not approve. We did not recommend. You did not approve. And nor did the mayor, was in the mayor's budget, any vehicles for the EMS. So we've added that back in for the upcoming year. And we put in an allocation for equipment replacement, which is a vehicle for the dog facility. And they're anticipating that need in the next year. So we kind of split the balance of what was required. And then out of the water and sewer funds, we took a look at kind of their most critical needs, somewhere around $1 million to $1.4 million. And you can see those projects: equipment replacement, underground storage tanks there, and sewer collection system, mainly in Orchard and Orchard Street. And then the water fund projects for Westlake water treatment plant, the filter media replacement, vehicles, chlorine feeds, meter reading software, high sewer pump station upgrade, Marjorie, tank removals, and Westlake treatment plant roof replacement. So what does that do? So the bottom line is under the general fund, we're proposing $5,465,000, which was the exact number last year out of that fund. For capital projects, 44,578 use of the SNAP bond, which was previously authorized, a new bond, which at the moment looks like it's about $118.6 million, you know, to be kind of fine-tuned in the coming months. The $3 million in notes, which we usually take every year, LoSiP funds about 565,000, CDBG funding at 250,000. And then the grant money comes from other sources. And then the funds, animal, ambulance, water and sewer are kind of paid for from their own, out of their own funds and user fees. So that gives us a total of proposed for the new year, $133,837,096 without the SNAP projects, and $178,415,096 with the SNAP projects. The only other thing is late after I sent it to you, and I didn't want to confuse it, and I wanted to do it on the floor. The finance director came back to me and wanted to make a couple of minor changes in the amounts between some IT projects and the police department based on some police needs. There's no net change in the general fund capital. I could just walk you through what those are real fast to get on the record. But again, it stays at $5,465,000. So the CRM phase 2, which we had on your sheet at 375 goes to 350. The new copier MFD system for city offices is 60,000 goes to 50. So that goes down 10. And then the Kronos telestaff upgrade and migration to the cloud, which is how we all clock in, was at 200,000, and that dropped to 195. So that $40,000 is then picked up in the vehicle replacement program for the police department, which increases by 25,000, and the equipment replacement program, which we had at 35. Which we had, I think, at 25, and now he wants it at 40. So again, it doesn't change the bottom line. They just needed to shift some things after the finance director had an additional meeting with the police department and IT. So that is the department recommended capital budget for the year. And then that is also then obviously reflected as amended, as I just said. And then that would be reflected in the 6-year program. So again, no projects change. We would just change those, the 40,000 that came from IT into the 2 projects at police.
Thanks.
With that,
Sharon, a lot of hard work goes into this, and we appreciate it. And most of it falls, I think all of it falls on your shoulders. So we appreciate it. Commission members, in our capacity as the Planning Commission, we're in an approval. And obviously we could discuss any of these line items we want, but the grunt work here in the line by line analysis is really done by Sharon. It's a lot of work. So thank you, Sharon. Well done.
Thanks. Thank you. I just wanted to add that, that we're proposing to fund that general fund capital. Like we had allocated money last year, and then we're going to shift and look at projects that are complete for which there is maybe money left to fund the balance of what we need. And that's how we really focus on keeping everything the same, especially, over the last year with everything going on and kind of not knowing. We really didn't want to have that column increase by at all. So that's the plan, to do that.
Understood. Thank you for that clarification. Commission members, does anyone want to challenge Sharon on any of these items? I dare you. No, but again, very thorough job, Sharon. Well done. Commission members, anything for Sharon?
Yes.
Any line item on the capital budget?
Yes.
Go ahead, Joel.
I can recall many years ago, the city floated 20-year bonds to buy cars with. And of course, cars gone in 3 years. And these vehicle replacements, just for example, in the water fund, 245,000 in vehicle replacements. That's funded how?
Water fund. They're funded out of their own fund, which is based on kind of user fees, I would say. So that's not, nobody go, yeah, but that's different than, like a note or anything like that. It's based on, what they collect. And then they pay down, operation maintenance costs and things like that. So those are funded out of their own enterprise funds, I should say.
Sure there. And any other of the vehicle replacements, like on police, those are gonna be funded now, those.
Those are funded from general fund. It's like the pay-go, like pay-as-you-go kind of.
Not, no
Not a
bonds,
note. It's not a note.
okay.
So notes and things like that are like big, heavy equipment, like big highway equipment, things like that, that
Well,
have kind of a longer.
Will last the 20 years or the 10 years.
Well, not even a 20-year, but they're gonna be, they're gonna last longer than a couple of years. I mean, and they're big pieces of equipment.
Then they're gonna last longer than any bonds we're voting, right?
Well, I don't know about 20 years, but yeah, I mean, that's,
They do refurbish some of those big pieces.
yeah, they
of
do. Yeah, they actually.
But they,
yeah.
like even fire trucks and stuff like that, you can
Kinda
send them to be refurbed. And you can get, Joe, believe it or not, you can get 20 years out of a fire truck. Or
Yeah, I'm
okay,
just trying to flip through here to see, like, I would say the equipment replacement is they're not actually out of bonds. They're either out of general fund or they're out of a note,
that makes
which
sense.
is
They're
not a
really-
bond.
A vehicle isn't a capital improvement, so I don't know why anybody, Joe, I don't know what happened 20 years ago, but a 20-year bond for a vehicle, that doesn't make any sense, but
Right,
like
exactly.
whatever they did then, they're not doing now, thank God.
I just wanna
No,
make-
we take them out of notes or they're paid. It's like it's almost like you think of it as your checkbook. I don't mean to say it like that because I don't want the public to think like it's our checkbook, but it's like the cash. It's our cash.
Fine, but I just want to make sure we're not financing things over longer periods of time than the asset has usable life. And vehicles is the prime example of how that was abused in the past.
Yeah. I'm not gonna comment on that. Because I don't know. But I can tell you that David is a very, very I mean, I vetted this whole thing and he and I worked hand in hand, and if he didn't think he could do it or it wasn't the right thing to do for the city, that wouldn't be how we would be funding that project. I could just say that.
Any other questions for Sharon, commission members? Okay, this is a matter that we do have to, as a commission, approve. So I will entertain a motion to approve the CIP.
Helen?
Yes, go ahead.
Helen had her hand
Oh, I'm
up.
sorry, Helen, I'm
Excuse me.
sorry. Go ahead.
All right, well, again, I also want to thank Sharon for sure. And my understanding is, of course, that a lot of work, detailed work went into this from the departments to prioritize what they want, given the budget that they think they could work with. And then, of course, Sharon pulls it all together and there's a lot of work. So it's hard to, I mean, there's somebody like me is not going to be challenging all those priorities and how well we spent the money, seeing that all of that scrutiny went into the effort. So, but I just wanted to say, I did go over to the unfunded projects, and as a member of the planning commission, one of our, we have a couple of objectives, the POCD alignment, for example, safety and quality of life, noise and pollution, blah, blah, blah. So we need to kind of, maybe that's part of our purview. So I went to the unfunded projects and I just picked out a few. So for example, there are 6 hazard beacon lights, I guess at the airport we need to address. So hopefully that was prioritized lower because we didn't have, because it's not as much of an emergency as all the other things they prioritize. Just I'll give you 2 more. Replacement of fire alarms for several schools. That looked a little daunting to me, but again, I'm assuming they're working well. We're just somewhere down the line, we're gonna have to address that. So I guess my question to you is there anything in there that you see as an absolute emergency? Are we going to get any funding, or are there plans for funding to address any of them? Just in general now, I don't need to
Yeah.
go through the line items. I'm just kind of asking, how do we address those?
Well, I mean, again, what you have to tie everything together. So an example of that is the hazard beacons. They didn't have them down for next year. So when we ask the departments to, we do everything on a Google sheet, which is like a live working sheet. So we give them we give them the sheet and we said, fill in your projects, tell us why you need them, you know, how it relates to things related to the POCD, whether it's a recreation improvement, whether it's a highway improvement, something like that. And then tell us in which year you need it. So that, for instance, the beacons weren't in next year and needing to be done for next year. So that's why you don't see it in that. You'd have to go back to the 6-year program, and the beacon lights are.
Like, I guess my point, don't worry about that. I
I'm
guess-
just saying that you don't see that part, so that's how we
Right.
prioritize. And we also base it on, I mean, if we had funding for everything, we'd fix everything and
Of course.
you do everything, which is just unrealistic.
So why
to-
don't we? No, just kidding.
Yeah,
So, okay, so I just wanted to sort of just checkpoint the unfunded projects as being lower priority choices
Yeah.
by each of these departments. And then you kind of probably went through that with them just to kind of get a feel for, you know, asking those questions.
yeah,
So
we
based on
asked them
that,
to right.
I just wanted to go over that in terms of priorities and are we addressing them? And I guess there probably will be some ways we can get additional funding from other places to address some of them. I'm
Well,
just.
it's important for all of the projects. And again, we asked the departments, you know, prioritize and give us all your projects. So it's, you know, you could get from 5 to 50 something projects. So it's not that it's a wish list, but it's a list of everything they could, well, you can't do 50 projects. You know, the engineering department cannot undertake 50 projects in 1 year. So we have to look at like kind of what are the most important things, most
Right.
important projects. So we do ask them to prioritize it. And the fact that it shows up on the 6-year plan, which is our capital improvement plan, because don't forget the 1-year capital budget is the column in the 6-year plan. The fact that it's on the 6-year plan makes you eligible under most grants or, you know, programs. It's got to show up on your CIP in order,
Right,
like,
so you're-
don't submit your application unless you think, because then where did it come from? You didn't really need it, if, you know. So there is a tie to all of that. And in terms of the new POCD that we're working on, yeah, that we'll look at things that are related to, you know, achieving the vision. And is that where we're spending our money?
Good point, good point. Okay, thank you very much. I just wanted to, you know, ask
Yeah.
those questions.
No,
Thank
good
you.
question. Yeah, thanks.
Anything else for Sharon on the CIP, commission members? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the CIP as submitted.
As amended.
As
I gave those
amended.
numbers.
Ended.
Yeah, sorry. Just make sure I got those numbers.
I'm sorry, my bad. Motion,
Mr. Chairman, I'll
please.
make that motion.
Motion
Second.
made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the CIP as amended. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will take a roll call vote. A yes is to approve, a no is not to approve. Mr. Urice,
I think you said yes. You're on mute. You're muted, Joel.
Joel, you there?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. Joel votes yes. Ms. Hostetter,
Yes,
Mr. Kiokio,
Yes.
Mr. Sylvain,
Yes.
Chairman Finaldi votes yes. The CIP as the amended CIP is approved. Thanks again, Sharon, for all your hard work on that. Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you very much.
Okay, commission members, you'll notice, let's see here, nothing under old business for discussion of possible action. The referrals are there, and one item for reference only. So unless anyone has anything else for the good of the order, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Again, we will call the roll. A yes is to adjourn, a no is to not adjourn. Mr. Urice.
Yes.
Ms. Hostetter.
Yes.
Mr. Kiokio.
Yes.
Mr. Sylvain.
Yes.
And Chairman Finaldi votes yes. This meeting is adjourned. I think our next meeting is going to be a little longer, so we got off easy tonight, but
And Jen will be back. Just, you can excuse me, Joe, you can just